Hi, everybody. My name's Doug Rao, and I am a grateful alcoholic. I'm grateful to be an alcoholic. I'm grateful to be a member of Alcoholics Anonymous. And if you're new, that sounds kind of stupid, because the first time I heard somebody say, I'm a grateful alcoholic, I replied, hey, and a moron. You're an idiot, too. Because I didn't, but I'm a figure outer, I'm real smart, a lot smarter than I look. So I figured out the guy, he said he's grateful alcoholic. He doesn't mean he's happy to be an alcoholic. Probably what he means is he's an alcoholic who's incidentally grateful that he got his driver's license back, or his boss said he's going to give him one more chance to keep his job, or, who knows, maybe the wife said, okay, you can start sleeping in the big bed. Don't get any ideas. I don't know, but I mean, hey, thanks for the terminal illness. Yeah, I understand that I'll always have this. It's incurable and terminal, but I can arrest it if I never swallow another drop of ethyl alcohol. Oh, yippee. So I couldn't imagine somebody being grateful to be an alcoholic, but I am. I'm grateful for one thing. If I'm not an alcoholic, what the hell's wrong with me? And now I know, like, all my life people say, Doug, what the hell's wrong with you? And now I can tell them, I have this disease. It's a mental obsession coupled with a physical allergy and spiritual goddamn bankruptcy, if you want to know the truth. It's serious, but I'm happy to have it. And also, like, when you go to a nice restaurant and the waiter says, sir, would you like a cocktail before dinner? And we practice rigorous honesty by lying to them. No, thank you. Rigorous honesty. Son, come here. Yeah, I would like a cocktail more than I'd like my next breath. But it turns out I have this illness that's a mental obsession coupled with a physical allergy and spiritual bankruptcy. I don't think you want that in your nice restaurant, do you? Huh? It's a fun thing to do to young waiters, send them backing into the kitchen. And the guy at table 6, don't offer him a drink. He's just a little. So anyway, I'm happy to be an alcoholic. I'm delighted to be a member of Alcoholics Anonymous. My sobriety date is June 7th, 1987. So I'm sober, I don't know, I guess 35 years and 3 months, I guess, and 2 months. I don't know, something over 35 years. And I started to say I'm no saner than I was when I got here. That's not true. I'm a lot saner than I was when I got here, but it feels like I'm just as insane as I was when I got here. But I've got 35 years of experience of being sober. I also am 35 years older than I was when I got here. I got sober at age 42. Now I'm 77. So I'm slower than I was. And I hope I get through this talk. Sometimes I run out of breath or voice. I have a COPD, which turns out I was a singer for many years, and it turns out the COPD. I didn't know what I had heard of COPD before, but I didn't know what it's just something somebody else. I thought it stood for Colorado Police Department or something, but it turns out it's a chronic lung disease that attacks singers who smoke 2 packs a day for 40 years. And so anyway, so I have it, and I can't sing anymore. And sometimes I can't even talk. So if I stop talking in the middle, it's not because anybody offended me. It's just just that my body sometimes gives out. So anyway, I want to congratulate. This is an impressive attendance at this meeting. A lot of times when I do these out-of-state Zoom meetings, there's like 9 people there. Half of them have their cameras off. So I feel like I'm talking to a stamp collection, you know, but it looks like people are paying attention, and that's nice to see. I want you to know that I did not come to Alcoholics Anonymous to stop drinking. I had no intention of stopping drinking. I had, it's not the first meeting. First meeting I ever went to was a Cocaine Anonymous meeting, because I was a cocaine dealer, and I knew that I had to stop dealing cocaine because people who were doing what I was doing were getting arrested and shot. And so I told you I'm a smart guy. I figured out that if I didn't want to get arrested or shot, I should stop dealing cocaine. And if I stopped dealing it, I better stop using it. So I went to Cocaine Anonymous, and I was enjoying. They dress really nice there. I didn't really have the clothes for CA, but I went, and they did help me get off of cocaine too. You know, I didn't stop drinking. I was drinking every day, but because I figured, you know, it's just time. It's time to get off the drugs and just, you know, drink whiskey like the good Lord intended. And there was a guy at CA I was going to ask to be my sponsor. I liked what he shared, and I went up and started talking to him. And I told him right off the bat, I got to tell you something, I don't believe in God. And he said, sure you do. It didn't sit well with me. I told him, well, actually, I happen to be the world's leading authority on what Doug Rao believes. So that's why I'm telling you, I don't believe in God. And he said, oh, I think you do. And I thought, well, I think you're an idiot. But I might have asked him to be my sponsor anyway. But I thought maybe I should find somebody else who's going to understand what I'm saying here. And so I didn't ask him to be my sponsor that night. And but on the way home, driving home, and he said, but here's what he said: if you want to have some quality sobriety, you ought to give up that whiskey. Now, see, I had not mentioned whiskey. As far as I was concerned, it was an outside issue. And but when he mentioned it, I thought, okay, this guy is not going to be the right pick for a sponsor. So, and I had just brushed my teeth before the meeting, so I don't know where he got the whiskey idea, but I drank whiskey on the way home. And on the way home, I was thinking, you have that little part of your brain that, I don't know if it's God-centered or what, but you know when it's time to quit. You can ignore it, but you really know when it's time to quit. And I knew it was time to quit. So I quit CA. And I just drank whiskey for the next couple of years. And I'll tell you something, if you drink as much whiskey as I did, which was probably about 1 liter a day, at least 4 half pints a day, 3 half pints if I was cutting down. And if you drink whiskey like I did, and you don't have any cocaine, you tend to fall down a lot. So eventually I started going to AA. And I'll tell you how all that happened. I came from a family that didn't drink. My dad, well, I shouldn't say didn't drink. My dad would have an occasional beer. He'd be working in the yard, working on his car, watching a football game, stop and have a beer. and then go back to what he was doing. Which that kind of drinking always fascinates me. I've seen people do that. That's not what I do. If I stop and have a beer, that is now what I'm doing. I suspect some of you can relate to that. And so, but my dad, it just wasn't important to him. You know, somebody would come over, hey, Ed, you got any beer? I think so. Let me check. I'm 8 years old. Hey, Dad, remember Saturday? You bought a 6-pack, you drank one. There's 5 in the fridge right now. You know, my dad was a mathematician, an engineer. I go, hey, engineer, 6 minus 1, 5. They're in the fridge. You got to move them to get the lettuce out. And anyway, that was 10 years away from my first drink. And when I got out of high school, just before I got out of high school, my friend Morris, who was sort of like my sex sponsor, said, if you want to get a home run with this girl, you got to get her drunk. See, so I heard that. I was interested in that home run thing, you know, because we used to use these baseball terms. There was like I don't know, sexual plateaus, first base, second base, third base. I don't remember where the bases are, but I remember a home run, and I wanted to get that thing. So I went and stole the quarter Rainier Ale, which seems like that's what the drinkers in high school were drinking. So this girl and I went and parked, and I pulled out that bottle and cracked the top on it and had a pull on it. Tasted like carbonated dishwater, but it did the trick. And handed it to her, and she drank some. And we killed that bottle in about 5 minutes. And this was the first time I ever had an alcohol buzz. And, to be honest, the first time I ever had sex in front of a witness. So I thought, well, I'm going to do both of these things much as I can rest of my life. So I was 18. I couldn't even legally buy booze. Still, it was easier to get than sex. And so I started drinking, and I got out of high school. I was playing guitar, and I started performing in some of the coffee houses at the time. You older people know I'm not talking about Starbucks. I graduated high school in the mid-'60s, and the coffee houses were dimly lit performance venues. A lot of them didn't even serve beer and wine. Some of them did, but mostly they served coffee and tea and hot chocolate and hot cider. And anyway, I would go and sing some songs, tell some jokes, and the music of the day was the Kingston Trio and Peter, Paul, and Mary and the Limelighters. But in 1964, when the Beatles came to town and brought the whole British invasion, the Rolling Stones, the Yardbirds, the Animals, you know, and we got our own rockers, Grateful Dead and Jefferson Airplane and Big Brother and the Holding Company, Jimi Hendrix. And I got an electric guitar, started playing rock and roll, and I moved from Orange County up to Hollywood, which is about 60 miles. And I got in a band called the Rock Wall. You never heard of them. We never recorded. We played all the clubs up and down Sunset and Hollywood Boulevard. And then a show opened on Broadway called Hair. Now, I always liked Broadway musicals. That's not what my band, we played rock and roll. We played country stuff. We played Motown stuff. But I always liked Oklahoma and Flower Drum Song and the Music Man, you know, where people walking down the street falling in love and they start singing and the whole town dances down the street with them. I love all that stuff. But this show, Hair, was about hippies. There was a scene where everybody was naked on stage at the end of Act One. And they screamed rock and roll, and they sang about drugs and sex. And oh my God, this is a musical about my people. So when it came out to Hollywood, I went and auditioned for them, and they hired me. And I thought they were hiring for the Hollywood show. They already had their cast for the Hollywood show. They said, we're hiring for Las Vegas, putting together a company in Las Vegas. Can you be in Las Vegas Tuesday? It's Friday afternoon. Yeah, I can do that. I got to work the weekend. I went to work. I told my band, you got to get a new bass player. I'm going to Las Vegas to do hair. They were like, that's cool. I told my roommates, I lived in an area of Hollywood called Laurel Canyon. And it was a great place to be in 1969. It was just, in fact, there's movies about Laurel Canyon in 1969 now. So anything I missed, and I think I missed a bunch of it, I can catch up on a movie. But so I went to Las Vegas on Tuesday morning and fired up my Harley and ate a tab of orange sunshine, headed out for Las Vegas. And I got to Las Vegas after 5 hours on this motorcycle, just fried. Got there, I found the people I needed to find, and I may run out of voice. Sorry. We'll see. I'll do the best I can. Anyway, so I got in the company, and about 3 or 4 days, I learned the steps and the songs and the lines I needed to know. And at one point, we were there for 6 months. And at one point, they gave me the understudy of one of the lead roles, Berger. So 2 nights a week, we did 8 shows a week. And 2 of those shows, I would play the lead role. So when we closed down the Las Vegas show, we became the first national tour of hair. And we toured the United States and Canada for 3 years, 3.5 years. And they gave me the lead role of Berger, the obnoxious, speed freak, sex-crazed leader of the tribe. It was a stretch, but I could do it. And we toured the United States and Canada 3.5 years. It was just a great job, for a guy like me. I was 24 years old, 24, 25, 26, 27. At the end of that, and we would play like Cincinnati for 2 weeks. Then we'd move on to Columbus. Then we'd move on to Pittsburgh. Then we'd move on to Toronto and move on to New Orleans and Baltimore. And it was just great. It was a terrific job. Traveling around the country with 40 hippies who could sing and dance. And people would give us drugs, Hey, you like pot? Here, send some me and Maui Wowie, Panama Red, Acapulco Gold. Give us this great deal. You like acid? Osley, Purple Haze, Orange Sunshine, Window Pane. Hey. Some girl would come up on stage. Oh, I love you. Take me. Okay. So sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Somebody would come up and say, we own a bar up the street. Would you like to come and drink for free all night? Yes, we would. That's what Nancy Reagan would say. Just say no to drugs. And we would say, just say thanks. And so it was a fun job while it lasted. By the end of that show, I had hooked up with a lady in the show, and she got pregnant. And we had a little girl. And when the show ended, we went back to Hollywood. And she went to work doing office temp work for Kelly Girl. And I took my 1-year-old daughter in diapers. And I went down to Goodwill and bought a used car seat and welded some brackets on it and bolted it on the back of my Harley. And I would ride around Hollywood, Los Angeles traffic with my daughter in diapers on the back of my Harley. Excuse me. And we'd go and audition places. Oh, you brought your kid with you. How old is she? She's so cute. So it never helped me get a part. But I get callbacks and never really landed a part. I'd go take her into bars where I was drinking, take her to visit friends, and cheat on her mother. And I thought, what a good father I am, taking care of my kid during the day while their mother's out supporting the family. And I was not a good father, but I was a worse husband. And finally, her mother said, "Look, I can't do this. I can't do this anymore. You got to go. You know, I'm keeping." Our daughter's name was Starshine. She was born on the road, and she said, "I'm keeping Star, um, and I'd like you to help with support, and I want you to stay in your daughter's life, but just get the hell out of mine. I can't do this anymore." So I did, and I ended up working as a stagehand in LA, and it's a good, honorable profession, pays good money, and you know, I ended up being a prop man, mostly for television. I worked on the head prop man on some good shows, American Bandstand, and General Hospital, and The Price is Right, and just working sometimes, taking general calls. And the more I drank and used, the more my reputation as a stagehand suffered. And I would show up on a call, and people would look at me, "Oh God, Doug's here." And oh shit, my computer froze. Well, I don't know if you can still hear me, but I can tell my computer froze.
Well, we can hear you, Doug.
Can you? Okay, well, that may end. So my computer froze, and that usually means it's going to die. But anyway, so my reputation started to suffer, and my fatherhood suffered even more. You know, I would show up to pick up my kid on a Saturday at noon, and I'm already drunk. And his stepfather one day said, "Doug, you're drunk." I said, "Yeah, I am." And he said, "You know, there's no point in arguing with him." I said, "Yeah, I'm drunk." And he said, "Well, Star's not getting in the car with you." And he was right. I knew he was right. You know, you know why he said that? He's a good father, and I'm a bad father, because he's protecting my only child from me, which he should do, and I'm prepared to drive around drunk with her in the car. And I said, I'm sorry, I was really looking forward to this weekend." And he said, "Yeah, so was she. So were we. But it's not going to happen. Not going to happen." And I ended up calling a friend of mine, and we went and got drunk. My friend Teddy, she was fun to drink with. If you drink with Teddy, there's about a 40% chance you're going to end up in a fight, or maybe in handcuffs, you know, but she was fun to drink with. So uh, I'm running out of voice. I'm sorry, I don't have any voice left. Well, I was afraid this might happen. It happens sometimes.
Doug, do you want to call it a night?
Yeah, yeah. Sorry.
Okay, no problem, Doug. Everybody on here understands. So thank you for being here and sharing what you shared. We really appreciate you, man, and we love you.
Thank you.
So we've still got a little bit of time left. Does anybody